Good evening to everyone. Welcome. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the East Bridgewater Planning Board for Monday, February 2, 2026, otherwise known as Groundhog Day. The little rascal didn't cooperate, unfortunately. Just for disclosure purposes, the meeting is being recorded. Tonight we have 4 members of the board here. We have Diane Phillips, Rachel Tedesco, Vice Chairman Roy Gardner, myself, Kevin Riley. Number of items to get through tonight on the agenda. We do not have minutes to approve tonight. We do, however, have a Form A application, which is for property at 876 Plymouth Street, submitted by Silva Engineer. Is that Silva Engineering? Yeah, Silva Engineering on behalf of Dean and Ashley. I hope it's Weil or Wiley. Apologize. Weil, okay. So to subdivide, or to divide, I should say, the premises at 876 Plymouth into 2 street fronting lots and then 1 estate lot to the rear, as is shown on the plan. Roy, we're gonna have,
Yeah, let me get that up on the.
okay. So, Roy, I think you said you had some discussions with Mr. Silva with regard to a couple of tweaks to this plan, and otherwise, any other comments?
No, the modifications he made was to make sure that that neck that comes off of Plymouth Street was 40 feet wide all the way to the back expanded section where the label estate lot is, as well as the building square.
Okay.
There was some question as to the setback from the existing dwelling there. He actually went to the site and did some site work to verify that that was the correct setback, so it didn't create a zoning violation, so it now meets all of the requirements for a Form A estate lot plan. I did check back in the ownership, the land is in common ownership, unsubdivided for well over 50 years, so it meets the timeline requirement of being in common ownership with no new lots being created since the estate lot bylaw was adopted in the late 80s.
Okay.
So I believe, unless there's any other questions, that I'll go ahead and make a motion, since this complies with our zoning bylaw, to endorse the plan as a Form A plan. Approval under subdivision control not required.
So, Mr. Gardner makes the motion to endorse the plan, which relates to 876 Plymouth Street. It is a plan dated January 5th, 2026, so as to create 2 lots with frontage on Plymouth Street and a rear estate lot designated as 9B on the plan. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Phillips. Further discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous vote of all members present and voting. We have Mr. Jacobs to discuss a potential.
So while he's coming up to the front, quickly on unanticipated matters, I did have a discussion with Charlie, Town Administrator, today. The plan going forward is that we are gonna, for annual town meeting, we will have some version of the MBTA zoning bylaw as an article on town meeting, annual town meeting.
Yeah, I was going to actually bring that up along with ADA under, a little farther down there, under D2, C2.
Okay.
But yeah, they.
Well, the only reason I wanted to bring that up is we don't have any details yet, but we'll need to schedule a public hearing, so the public hearing should probably be scheduled in the second meeting in March. Give us enough lead time to do the advertising.
Sure. second meeting in March or first meeting in April.
Or first meeting in
Yeah,
April.
I'm just trying to think of what the office
Whichever
situation, yeah.
fits better.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll discuss, yeah, okay. All right, Mr. Jacobs, take it away.
Okay. I'm here tonight, kind of representing myself, looking to get a section of the B4 zone on North Bedford Street, Route 18, zone to B2.
Like that go there.
There we go.
So if I can just go up, kind of point it out here. This is the current B2 zone.
I'm trying to make that bigger.
Yep, this is fine. This is the current B2 zone right here. This area right here is the B4 zone. There are a lot of parcels in this current B4 zone. This is the railroad bed, this would be Route 18. There's a bunch of current parcels in here that don't meet the current B4 zoning bylaw. B4 calls for 80,000 square feet of area, 200 feet of frontage. The front setback is 100 feet, yard setback, and the side setbacks are 50 feet. So all of these lots here won't even meet the B4 standard. So if any of these wanted to be redeveloped, there's no way you could do it. This lot's been standing vacant for I don't know how long because it's 100 feet wide. You take the two 50-foot setbacks into account, and that lot becomes unbuildable. The intent of the B2 zone, and it's right in the definition, in the zoning bylaw book, zoning bylaw, it's a low-intensity transitional business district. In other words, it's to help to maintain the residential aspect of the neighborhood, but to help people to transition into businesses. So to take some of these smaller lots and either redevelop them or change the residential aspect of buildings into a business, you know, a tax office or, you know, something like that. And right now, that's impossible. There'd be no way to redevelop any of those lots in this B4 zone. The B4 zone definition in the book is a high-intensity commercial center business district. So the intent of the B2 zone is to preserve the residential amenity of existing developed thoroughfares which are undergoing pressures to commercial development by easing their transition to more intensive but compatible uses while emphasizing preservation and use of existing structures, providing reasonable buffer zones and providing for allowed uses that are compatible with the nearby residential areas. And I think that area of B4, that is now B4, would be perfect for a B2 zone. B4 definition is intended to provide for high-intensity integrated mixed-use commercial centers. It allows uses that which are most commonly associated with high-intensity commercial uses tending to generate high volumes of traffic. The character of these businesses tend to be regional in nature, and as such are expected to serve a community or a major regional market. So those lots, as now compromised, cannot meet that. You're talking about car dealerships or, you know, drugstores, lumber yards, things of that nature. None of those lots can meet that right now. So I think this would be a perfect rezoning to B2.
I'm trying to place where that all is. I don't, like, what,
The top of that line where it intersects Route 18, Eddie, that's roughly the entrance to the storage, right?
Yes, this is Harvard Street.
yeah,
This is, help me out, this is Grove Street.
okay.
So it's ready, you know, this is where the the storage units are, public
Oh,
storage.
yeah.
This is Wolf's Place right here.
Yeah. So
Superior
before
Pool
over
would be right
there,
there.
on the right, is there anything in there right now?
No, that's actually town-owned land, correct, Paula?
Well, it's in the process of being, it's in tax title, and we're going to be taking it. We've been working on that, and that's part of why I'm here, because there's some small access off of Union where you'd have to maybe cross some wetlands, so the value of that is pretty much not much, and it's a large parcel.
Without access to Route 18, the value's minimal, because you'd have to cross the stream there.
Right,
Yeah.
it's Bertarelli, they haven't paid taxes in a long, long time, so we have them in process of taking it. And I'm just looking for future use the town will own it, but if we choose to, auction it off or whatever, B2 is a much better fit than, a B4.
Yeah.
D2 also allows for duplexes,
Right.
so.
Eddie, do you
Well,
have,
no,
do you
and
have
all the-
any, do you have any feedback from any of the other landowners
No,
within that?
no.
Is that the unused rail line there?
That would be this right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Union Street out here. And as Paul was saying, you could get access off of Union Street if somebody were to, if you auctioned it off, somebody might look at that to put duplexes out there or something.
Or a nice, over 55 or something like that, to me, that would be a perfect spot.
I agree.
Sure would be.
I agree.
So, Ed, the orange on that plan is R2, is that right?
B2.
No,
Oh,
orange.
down below
Yeah.
that.
Darker
Yeah.
red
That's-
is B2.
Right, yeah, no,
B2
the
is
orange.
this, going down both sides, and B2 also goes up that way, and this would be R2, that's the over 55 now, that's Wildwood,
Yes.
yeah.
So if you could, Eddie, can you give us a spreadsheet table with the actual parcels numbered
Absolutely,
and an estimate of the acreage
yes,
of all those parcels?
can do that.
And do your best to,
The total acreage or separate?
just for each one, and then if it's a spreadsheet, you can just total it at the bottom,
Yep,
so we get a better idea of what the total land area is.
sure.
Yeah, if you need any help with that, zoom in on a butter list or something like that, we would get all the parcels and have it instantaneously.
Okay.
If that's
Yeah,
helpful.
I'll work with you on that, sure.
So another question, just so that everyone understands this. Was I reading the records at Plymouth Registry of Deeds that you're currently owner of part of that?
Yeah, so I recently purchased this lot, we moved our office from 200 to 359, and so I own 359 and 365.
What's 359?
That's where Tom Ashley used to live, it's that big gray house that goes way back.
Almost opposite the end of Grove Street, just offset a little
Yeah,
bit?
it's right across from Superior Pool, directly across.
Okay.
So we moved our office up there. Tom it was a cape, and then he just kept adding on to it, Tom Ashley. So we kept a one-bedroom apartment out front, that's like 1,100 square feet, and then the back of it's 2 stories, and it's about 3,000 square feet.
That's a big building.
That's our office
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Okay.
We just moved there last Friday.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. Well, that's why I'm here, representing myself, because I have a stake in this with 365 being a cape that we just did over, but, like the other.
So Roy, I mean, maybe you can speak to this, because one of the things that's always sort of perplexed me was kind of maybe the mishmash of zoning along that stretch, particularly of Route 18. And, I mean, I certainly, what's being said here, I think makes sense, but what was the thinking, in terms of what was the idea that was gonna be?
Well, most of those ideas came from Old Colony Planning Council back in 1985, when we were working on the master plan.
Okay.
What the thought was to try and preserve as much of the frontage off of Route 18 as possible for quote, major business. Now, the thought back then, and it has worked to some extent, was that parcels would get bought up, multiple parcels would get bought up and then combined together, which actually happened all along Route 18 as you go south from Route 3, through all of the towns.
Oh, okay.
So the thought was that's going to continue further south. Well,
Not so
Not-
much, yeah.
Yeah, not so much.
not much has happened since 1987 when we adopted that revised zoning map.
It's just so hard to get all those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 people to all agree to sell to one person, it
Yeah.
would be a nightmare. And I
So,
really,
so the idea of, the other thing is I have talked to Paula in the assessor's office multiple times about the Bertarelli property.
Yeah.
Because that's been an ongoing issue for several years now.
Yeah.
And we already know from looking at that fairly carefully that very unlikely that you could ever get access from Union Street. And if you could, there would still be a bit of a problem because access through Union Street is through residential area.
right,
So to get to a B4 zone through a residential area would run afoul of some case law in terms of accessing business land through residential land.
yeah, that would, because if you could put duplexes in there, so now it's a residential use in a business zone, so that would be interesting.
Yeah, you could theoretically have a better case to access
Yeah.
that from Union Street
Right.
if it's residential. It would still require, I'm pretty sure, I don't think Concom could issue that. I think it would have to go to DEP.
Yeah.
Because there is actually I'm not sure you'd call it a navigable river, but there is a river there that's there
Right.
12 months a year.
Yep.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so it'd have to be a limited project through DEP.
Yes, yes. But I think the concept certainly makes sense.
Okay,
I'd like to know what the total acreage of that put together is, because I think you're aware, and I know everyone on this board is aware, that we've been looking for potentially a place to put another over 55. Because we have, based on the over 55 bylaw, we have the capacity to handle another 75 to 100 units.
Sure.
Based on the way the math is done for that.
yep,
We certainly need those.
yeah, I agree.
The whole over 55 concept was that the over 55s would put housing stock into a price point that would be somewhere between 50 and 60% of a full family home, and right now they're approaching 100%.
I know, you're right.
Because there just isn't any available, and
Yeah.
as soon as they come on the market, they're sold.
Yep, yep,
I think they're selling for very close to the median price of housing in town right now, according to the last sales I saw.
Oh, my gosh.
yep.
The last 3 sales I saw are all approaching 500,000.
Yeah, there's some that came in that are over that,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The other thing that I've seen recently that I was greatly impressed with, in terms of, housing development, is if anybody knows, I believe it's the St. Francis Church in Weymouth. The old rectory across the street from the church was moved, and the parcel on the corner where the rectory used to sit has been redeveloped into a bunch of, what I believe they're single-family homes, small homes, very tight, but yet single-family homes. And I think it's a really nice concept, for, that would work in many different places, actually. It's something, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more information on it, just to have, and perhaps try to promote something like that in East Bridgewater and different places.
Yes.
I mean, I think that in terms of, dense housing, if you will, it's attractive.
Yes. It's affordable, at which we.
I don't
need.
know, I can't tell you that, Diane, because I don't know how it was developed, whether there was some affordability provision in it, or whether it's strictly market, but,
Oh,
they're nice looking, and if you ever go by that direction, it's something to maybe take a peek at. But I would think Roy, what we can do, Ed, if you can, provide us with that information.
Absolutely.
Then at our next meeting, we would have just something that we could take a vote to advance through to, in the way of preparing an article for, and sponsoring an article for presentation at town meeting. And then we'll have some exact metric. Because I would think, unless I'm misreading, does anybody have any difficulty with what's being suggested?
I would like to see what the acreage is. I would,
I mean, conceptually,
yes,
Yeah.
okay.
not at this moment.
I tried to do a quick, from the assessor's map, trying to gauge the parcels. It's a little tough because up at the top there, that line,
Yeah, bisects.
that's approximately 90 degrees off Route 18, kind of bisects a fairly large parcel, so it's hard to know exactly where that line is, but I'm sure Eddie with his tools could
Yeah.
quickly figure that out.
We can.
I had it somewhere around 42 or 43 acres, I think.
Okay.
So if you do that, we'll put this on the agenda for our next meeting, and that will give us enough time to, craft something and.
Yeah, I'll get you something by the end of the week.
Okay.
You guys can have a look at it, and that'll
Okay.
give you enough time to look at it.
Okay.
Paula, David, any other thoughts or anything you guys want to express?
All right, thanks, Eddie.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate the input.
Stay warm. Try to.
Easier said than done.
I'm heading out, but I sent you an email, but this is a hard copy to show you at some point.
Okay. All right, thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was the zoning map amendments. So then, just circling back to what Roy was just talking about on the MBTA, I did ask, the draft of the warrant that had come out had basically only 2 planning board articles in it for the annual town meeting, or the 2 places for, so I've asked for a number of more, which they have said that they would accommodate us. So I would think that we would want to put in the ADU to be, based on the comments from the Attorney General's office last fall, which hopefully would be the last pass at that, because they did, reject what we had passed, based on it sort of conflicting with a couple of definitions that they had subsequently put out. So if I don't think it would take much amendment, but it will take, just a few tweaks to what we had. And I should think we would have a final product, so that we would get that approved. And then whatever wants to happen with what we've just discussed, and then whatever wants to happen with MBTA. And my thought on MBTA, do we want to consider having the select board sponsor that article this time through?
I was promised that we'd be invited to a meeting sometime within the next week or two with the powers to be downstairs. That we'd be jointly invited with town council president, and we could have a discussion about exactly how we
How we want to
proceed.
move forward, okay.
Okay, so you're gonna discuss how you want to present it at the town meeting?
Not specifically how to present it, because it's a zoning change, so I think we still have to present zoning changes. So we still have to have a public hearing, we still have to make a recommendation.
Right.
My only thought is that, through the 2 prior iterations, it's been the planning board that sponsored this, and the planning board that's kind of done the outreach, or whatever you want to call it, and obviously 2 unsuccessful results. I'm thinking that perhaps if, there are other voices who are sponsoring it, obviously it would still have to come to us for a public hearing, and such, but it might get some other voices, and perhaps, they have a different way of presenting this, and can make better or differently make the case than what we have. You know? Because, I mean, at this point, you know, it's obviously there, I think the one thing that's changed is that there are dollars and cents that the town of East Bridgewater has lost as a result of the failure to comply and pass MBTA zoning. And the other thing I might suggest is that, if for no other reason, is just to maybe change what the title of the article is, so that it isn't MBTA Communities North or, you know, anything like that, that it's, you know, whatever that area might be called,
Oh, just renaming the area, but
so in other words, rather than the MBTA Communities Overlay District, what's the swamp up there near where I am? I don't think swamp necessarily is, I mean,
Wetlands?
in Randolph, for example, there's a Bear Swamp Overlay District. I
Yeah.
mean, so.
Oh, like a Hockomock swamp.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it
what it is,
disassociates the MBTA
I
from the
see.
title, I guess, you
I
know,
like-
and
yeah.
maybe
even
that,
though in essence it would be.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just,
And we're gonna keep, I agree with you. I think a new name. And are we going to keep the same proposal, same,
Tentatively, I would say yes, but that's still open
In
for
terms of
discussion.
acreage
Okay.
and.
yeah, in terms of
well,
land area.
because my understanding is if we do not vote this in, the state will come in and tell us what we will be doing.
That's one of the options that town council was, my understanding was town council had some kind of a discussion with the Attorney General's office, and that's one of the things that's been put forward as a potential suggestion for solutions that a judge could find, is that take the map that was proposed and mandate that becomes the map for the town. I'm not sure, given how zoning is supposed to work, a judge would do that, but I think because this whole thing is so disjointed the way it's being done. I mean, the MBTA district language in the actual law that was adopted by the legislature has been far exceeded, in my opinion, by the rules and regulations that were
Yep.
promulgated. Far exceeded,
Oh,
which also was done with the ADU, by the way.
oh,
The ADU language adopted by the legislature has been far exceeded by the rules and regulations that
Well,
were
it's the thing, Roy, I
promulgated
mean,
for the
when you
ADU.
when you
so-
have a statute that makes such a major change that is written in about, what, 3 or 4
3 or
sentences,
4,
whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, when you flesh it out, that's not statutory now, it's regulatory, you know, so you know.
But
the
it doesn't, it
intent-
doesn't even comply
No,
with
the intent
with
is.
the underlying
clear.
statute that was written.
Well, that's,
And that's what was approved by the legislature.
yeah. So,
You know, when the promulgated rules and regulations come out and they're 60 pages,
yeah.
that's
and,
really,
and
Little-
they really widely overlap the language that was in the actual legislative act. I mean, yeah,
yeah. Gives too much power to the people, it's who wrote the regulations? Who wrote all of that?
The Department of.
well, Department of Housing
HOLC,
in a group of attorneys,
Yeah, okay,
not the legislature. The legislature didn't write that.
no.
yeah.
Normally when a zoning change is made in the legislature, with about only one exception that I can find that is clearly in any way close to this, which was the Dover Amendment, which put in by the legislature, which basically said, here's the rules for the community you have to follow. So it wasn't voted at town meeting, per se. The Dover Amendment was passed by the legislature.
I see.
But in this case, the actual implementation level language, which is normally done by the town, based on the enabling legislation done by the state legislature, was basically taken away and said, here's A to Z, the rules you have to follow, just go adopt it.
Yeah,
So we're really not, in my opinion, we're not, when we tried to write a bylaw for the ADU, which we had to do before the rules were promulgated,
Right.
in the letter we got from the Attorney General's office apologized for saying, we know you had to do this before we set the rules. Well, how's that supposed to work?
So, I mean, all things considered, I mean, you know, I guess you could say we made a couple of assumptions that, you know, ran afoul of what they ultimately,
Oh,
promulgated, so that's what needs to be, corrected. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's not extensive by any means,
No.
but, they won't approve it in the form that it's in, so, or, you just need to tweak that. So I think
I didn't know
that's by
that.
far the
Okay.
easier,
That's the ADU.
that's the ADU.
That's the
Not,
ADU,
not the
yeah.
MBTA,
No,
no.
no, we didn't pass
our
the
en- No, okay. Well, I would agree, meeting with the select board would be the thing to do.
yes.
So we're gonna get invited to a meeting with probably town administrator, one or two of the selectmen, and town council at some point in the next couple of weeks. And I was promised that both Kevin and myself would be invited.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Well,
we can
I'd-
put our heads together to try and figure out what we're gonna do.
Okay.
I'd like to at least be in the audience that night.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it,
Yeah.
so I can understand.
Yeah, so there can't be a quorum present.
Okay,
There can't be a quorum?
there can, oh. Oh,
Unless they actually post an official meeting. This was intended to be probably down in Charlie's office with
okay.
a couple of representatives
So
from
you
each,
can tell
so.
us- You can tell us.
So
what
we can
comes-
tell you what,
Yeah,
Yeah.
what they
sure.
say we need to do.
Yeah.
I understand.
If there's a quorum present, it'd have to be done at a legally advertised,
And it would have to be
legally posted
posted.
meeting with an
I see.
agenda.
Gotcha, yeah, okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion there. I'll try to have, I'll go back to that letter that we got from the AG's office in the fall, and I'll update the ADU over the course of the next week or so, and submit, send that around so that we can at least have a draft revision to talk about next time.
Okay,
And then it would be just a public hearing to.
okay. Because I'm interested in what,
Yeah.
what has to
Did
be
you,
changed.
did you see it was, I thought it was circulated to everyone.
Yeah, it was
a
sent
rather
out.
extensive letter.
It's like 16 pages
Yeah.
long.
Okay, well,
very-
I probably did not read it.
It's wonderful prose. You should, I commend it to you.
It's our tax dollars at work that paid for
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
so.
for sure.
You can summarize it for me next time.
Okay, so next on the agenda there is the equity industrial matter. There was still, I guess, some comments that had come in. Last time we voted to approve the change of address for a couple of buildings
Yes.
at the complex there, the Hard Hanks complex.
Uh-huh.
And a letter did come in from the fire department, just asking that, again, certain conditions be met before a little more extensive. I think the last concern that they had was that the new addresses just be properly identified by signage and whatever. This one went a lot farther than that, and, Roy, I don't know if you had any, did you have discussion?
Yeah, so we discussed that in the
Track.
most recent track meeting, and the request has gone back, and Equity Industrial is working on it to make sure that all of the automated alarming systems that are in the buildings are segregated the same as the addresses are,
Yeah.
so they don't get an alarm from one of the buildings
and then
that
go-
shows up in the wrong address because the alarm's actually in. They have been working on doing that already, as I understood the discussion we've had. So they're working with the fire department to make sure that that's a. And there has been a change in the fire department of the public safety officer in the fire department, I think, because Craig is retired. So
Oh, really?
there's a new fireman who's in charge of that, but.
Captain Wolf.
Yeah, so they are working on that, and we'll keep tabs with him to make sure that happens. They just don't want a alarm to come in that's been identified at the fire department as,
Yeah.
X Highland Street, and find out that it's out in the main building that's accessed off of Route 18, so on and so forth, but.
So, that then is just basically held, and I think that Equity Industrial understands that that's the case until such point as those fire department issues are cleared up, and then that can move forward as we had decided at the last meeting with the numbering on Highland Street as opposed to North Bedford.
special engineering accounts, there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of those that have been identified, which look like, some of them, Roy, that they may go back to the year before the flood.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
So,
Wow.
they're appear to be, some with very small balances. There's none of them, are more than hundreds of dollars. There's no thousands in here. But I think the most recent one, at least the only one that I'm familiar with, I think that, since the time that I've been associated with the planning board, is 60 Franklin Street, the special permit for the drive-up window. And I know that project has been completed and such, so I'm certainly not aware. I've checked with the office, and they have said that, they've checked through. There is nobody else, no town department or anything else that has any interest in these things. So, Roy, unless you know something different, I think we're in a position to entertain a motion to authorize the closure of those 10 accounts, E24, 59, 78, 106, 122, 133, 140, 145, and 186, and also E95. With notice to the treasurer and, to disperse funds to the developer/owner, presuming that some of them obviously are indicating that they're unknown purposes, and whether the owners are still the same.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I'll make a
part of the
motion.
challenge.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the planning board office to proceed to close those 10 accounts.
Motion is made by Mr. Gardner to authorize, or to allow the office to undertake the closure of the 10 accounts that are listed on the handout for this evening, as I had just recited. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mrs. Tedesco. Further discussion on it here? All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous vote of all members present and voting. You know that. Okay. Would just tell the board that over the course of the last 10 days, I believe it is, I did receive an email from the developer on Layla Estates, just confirming that the matter is still in Mass, not Mass Electric, National Grid engineering. There were some additional forms that needed to be submitted based on, they were not correctly completed, I think partly town issue, partly developer issue in the first instance. That's been corrected, so that is being, that process is ongoing, and I think it's more a National Grid issue at this point than anything else.
So
Just for an update there.
what is that to, what?
That's the
should I-
street lighting on Layla Estates.
Okay,
Yeah.
street lighting, yeah, okay. What should I write in the minutes on that then?
That, basically, I think still pending within the National Grid Engineering Division.
Okay,
So, and hopefully, timing-wise, if that would be a spring, summer approval and move forward. All right, well, that's all we have on the agenda.
Good.
Discussion on anything else, Roy? Any other issues that,
Just that we have a couple of plans to, the Form A just needs a single signature, but the subdivision plans for Lopez, which is that stack should be signed
yeah,
before we
so
leave.
we had voted that last time.
Yeah.
We just hadn't gotten the plans yet, so we're authorized to sign those. And otherwise,
And our next meeting is,
It's gonna be the first Monday in March,
oh,
because
okay.
the second Monday in February, the third Monday in February is a legal holiday this month.
President's Day, right?
President's Day, yes.
that's right.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, second that.
Motion is made by Mr. Gardner, and seconded by Mrs. Phillips to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So voted.
Right.
Thank you and good night.